actually, it turns out that you don't need to wear a suit to be good at business. You don't need to have 20-page, 70-slide PowerPoints to have an effective meeting. There is no hard and fast way. And a lot of the untraining, I think, and certainly with people I work with, is helping them be themselves and be confident in introducing yourself. You don't have to say, this is my background, this is where I came from, these are my qualifications. You can say, this is who I am. Like, I show up to my meetings like I went swimming today. I have wet hair. I don't have makeup on, but it shouldn't matter if you're able to communicate how effective you are at your work, why you care about it, why the person that you're talking to matters to you, and why you want to help them. Those are such more important skills than, I don't know, a lot of what we were taught to think was important. Like, I worked in an environment where basically I was made to feel like completely useless if I didn't show up wearing heels. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I get it. And this was in Switzerland. It was very patriarchal. But I applied for so many jobs that I just couldn't get my foot in the door, because at the end of the day, my resume was what it was, but it was nothing. It wasn't who I was. It wasn't about the role that I wanted to create or how I could communicate something in this role and what I wanted to achieve. It was just what was on the paper. And I think anyone who's come out of a corporate background feels compelled to be that bit of paper, compelled to be the credentials, the qualifications, when actually what makes me want to work with anyone is how I get on with them. Do I relate to them? Obviously I need to know that they're good at what they do, but I probably wouldn't have found them if they weren't in the first place, And then at the end of the day, it's going back to that idea of sales. If they communicate to me, if they speak to me on a personal level, and we have a shared human connection, doesn't have to be that we have the same story, but you share an element of connection, right? Of going, okay, I understand this person a little bit. I would love to understand them a little more. I would like to be in their presence. I would like to get more of what they have to offer. And that's so personal. And we don't get taught that in a corporate environment. And I think that's really hard. And I think that's why people are unhappy there, not because they don't like the work, but the environment is not one that leads to genuine human connection. I certainly didn't go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to work. Not because I didn't like the work, and I certainly didn't not like my colleagues. It just wasn't a place that made me feel like a human being,
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned, leaving the corporate world, right? Which I can very much relate to. I learned to speak in bullet points. I learned to get my point across in 3 bullet points, no matter what. And now, as an entrepreneur and someone who is aspiring to do more keynotes and be on more stages, I'm having to actually unlearn a lot of that, like, efficiency in my communication, quote unquote efficiency, right? Because it's like, yes, am I getting my point across? Sure. But is it resonating with people? Does it stick? Is it, interesting? And so now I'm unwinding some of that to say, actually, let me go into this little moment when that moment illustrated this thing that I'm trying to share with people or that I want them to learn more about. But I also think, even if you're not leaving the corporate world, I think there's a change point between when you're an individual contributor where your job is to execute. When you become a leader, now your job is not just to execute or to say things as quickly and efficiently as possible. Your job is to influence. Your job is to inspire your team. Your job is to rally people, to get on board, to energize them, to bring them into your vision, right? And so I think there's this unlearning that might happen there too when you move into more senior levels of leadership, where it's like, forget everything that made you really effective up to this point and like pull back into that human element and think about how you want to tell stories differently.